Hey, and welcome to this episode of the Whole Health with Rob Carney podcast. And on this episode, we got my soul brother Eddie Madden joining us to talk about all things water. H2O. What does that mean? Might be a little bit different than the hydrogen and oxygens that you're used to hearing about. Eddie goes into the various types of water, the different benefits of these types of water, how to charge our water to get the most out of it, and how to really implement the absorption of water into our system. We are water beings. We are made of at least 70% water. Some may argue 99% water based on when you look at the cells and the muscles, a lot of that is water. So the planet is made of water, our bodies are made of water. Water is a very essential part of life. So Eddie's going to break down all things water. Sit back, relax, grab a notepad, and here we go. All right, everyone, welcome to this edition of the Whole Health with Rob Carney podcast. And on this episode, we have the one and only Eddie Madden joining us again on the podcast. But this podcast is going to be a little bit different than last one. Last one, Eddie shared his story, which you can look at in the link of the description here. But on this episode, we're going to be specifically talking about water. And water is something that I think we all kind of take for granted. We're made of 70% water. The earth is about 70% water. There's a lot of water in our universe, on our planet, in our bodies. And so what we want to touch on today is just what is the difference between water? Why do some people say, oh, you got to drink spring water? Why do some people say you got to drink tap water? What is the difference of water? How can our thoughts influence the water? How can the environment the water is placed in affect the way that it's absorbed by our body? So this is a very special episode where Eddie has been studying water for quite some time. He shared a lot of knowledge with me. And quite frankly, I'm really excited just to learn from what Eddie has to say in this conversation. So hope you enjoyed this episode. And here we go. Eddie, my friend, welcome aboard. I'm excited to get going and hear everything you got to say about water. Welcome.
Thanks, Rob. Always great. And whoever's listening, I hope this helps you navigate life. I think we're all navigating life, and we're trying to create our dream, right? We all have a dream, and we're all trying to create it. And I think sometimes we wonder, what's going on with this dream creation that I've been thinking about for so long? Maybe it's not happening as fast as I want it to, or maybe there's a little excess suffering. And, we always come together to try to find, pick up little tidbits of wisdom here and read a book here, watch a documentary there, take a class, and engage in a stimulating conversation, to try to pick up some tips, some tools, find some of the pieces to the puzzle. And what is the puzzle? The puzzle is trying to put together a dream, where we're happy, healthy, strong, connected, driving forward with purpose. That's what we're all trying to do. Anyone who says otherwise is delusional. That's what we're trying to do. We're all trying to create our dream. And it's been about a few years now where I'm starting to realize I realize that the best way, one of the best things I can do to create my dream is to take care of my water.
Absolutely. So when you're taking care of your water, and I think that that's exactly what you said, is everything that we are doing stems from what we're putting into our body. And that initially starts with water. Because obviously we can talk about food all day, but at the end of the day, you can eat the best food in the world, but if you're drinking garbage water, you're not going to have optimal health. You can be thinking the best thoughts in the world. You can be doing the best exercises. But if you're not getting that quality water, how much are you really going to be able to progress? Because as we said, our brain is made of mostly water. Our bodies are made of mostly water. The food that we're eating has water in its creation process. So when you're looking for quality water, and I guess maybe the first question is, what does quality water mean to you?
All right. So I'm going to just kind of go really jump off this cliff here and just throw myself into this subject. So when it comes to high quality water, there's a lot of info around there. So to back up a little bit, I just want to say that there's two ways that we can go about anything in life, right? And it's attention and intention, right? We can put our attention on anything, and we can also take that attention and power it with intention. So what do I mean? I'm going to go on to attention, right? Because we're trying to gain some facts and gain some knowledge. So when I think about my attention to water, I'm thinking, let's acquire some knowledge. The problem with that is, or the difficulty with acquiring knowledge around any subject, is that we are bombarded with disinformation, right? There's lots of information, lots of opinions out there. So I have studied 3 main books to get to the bottom of water, to get my knowledge on point. So one that I recommend is The Healing Power of Energized Water by Ulrich Holz. Here's the book. Ulrich Holz was an expert in water vitalization. He basically condenses the work of Victor Schauberger, who's also known as the Water Watcher. He was a guy who grew up in a family that was from a German forest family. They were very close to the earth, in nature. Their family motto was, put your trust in the silent forests. And Victor, as a young kid, he was known as the Water Watcher because he literally would just sit by a stream and stare at the water. He would stare at these torrents coming down the water and yet see a trout just motionless, not moving, exerting zero energy in the middle of a river that's flowing. And he didn't understand that. So he was known as the Water Watcher. So also on the Ulrich Holz's book, this is one of the best books ever compared to the 2 other books that I've read, which is Water Codes by Carly Newday. This book is called The Science of Health, Consciousness, and Enlightenment. What a book. Very scientific. Just, you can't unread these books. They've completely changed me into a new person. I'm a complete water geek. I'm totally committed to water. I don't think water might help me. I know water will help me. When I say me, I mean the whole world. I mean, the fact that we're having this conversation right now about water is such a gift and a privilege. The 3rd book, what I'll get into later, is more on the intention of water, which is any book by Masaru Emoto. He was a Japanese scientist born in Japan. He's let me see, what is he? He's international. He's a medical doctor. He's a medical doctor who's dedicated his whole life to studying water, and he's famous for taking samples of water, freezing them under the influence of certain thoughts, music, sounds, all different kinds of influences that affect water, which goes more into intention. So coming back onto attention, you asked me, what is high quality water? So first of all, I'd like to go into types of water, right? And there are multiple different types of water, and I'm just going to list them real quick, and then I'll go into them. You have juvenile water, you have mature water, you have mineral water, spring water, rainwater, surface water, also known as like pond or lake water, boiled water, distilled water, and then morning dew. That's out on the grass when you wake up early in the morning, right? Those are pretty much all the different kinds of water. And there's a lot of information out there, but that gets right down to it. So juvenile water, that's water that's in the earth that's not moving up yet, which is a key point to know about water, which is one of the fundamental principles of water is that when it's not juvenile and it's mature, it ascends. So you'd like to think that water is being pumped upwards against the force of gravity in our body, right? Or you'd think that water in a spring is moving against gravity. How? In the earth. Or in a plant, water is moving up the roots against gravity. The reason is that the water is mature, it's life-giving, and when water is mature and life-giving, it is ascending. It's an ascending compound. It wants to move up. It wants to vibrate high. It wants to evolve, right? It's just like, I wish I could have started with this, but water is alive, okay? Water is a life force consciousness interfacing substance that has consciousness in it. It's everything. Everything is water. And if we pay attention and use intention with water, we can change everything. We don't need to get all confused with all the different things that we can be affecting and tinkering with. Just get right into water. So going back into the water types. So juvenile water is water that is not ascending. That means it doesn't have any life force. That means it's not ready to move up. It's not going up. It's almost like when water in our body, maybe in our blood, is, it's being pumped down, right? The heart is like pumping the water in our blood down. We need the heart to pump because the water in our body is alive and it's alive and it wants to ascend. So the power of the heart is pumping the water down into gravity because once it gets down, now it's just going to flow up because that's what life water does. Living water does. It wants to come up. So now you have mineral water. Mineral water like Perrier, Pellegrino, soda water, that's carbonated. That can be a burden because we're pumping all kinds of minerals into the water and the body can only assimilate so much of that. So now when you take that in, the body's trying to deal with the carbonation, the body's trying to deal with the minerals that were put in because some scientists think that maybe that's what we need. It's not life water, right? It's water that was not totally mature, not spring water, not activated, not structured, not enlivened. So scientists are putting stuff in it, factories are putting stuff in it like carbonation and minerals. So we're forcing it to be something it's not yet. We following me from juvenile to mature to mineral? So now let's move up to mountain spring water, which is amazing. It's amazing to study. It's alive. So water, mountain spring water is some of the highest quality water you can get. Mountain spring water. Water naturally runs in a spiral, right? That's what water does. It's spiraling. It's conscious. It wants to move. It wants to be wild. And if it's it's almost like flows down a mountain because it's fun for the water to flow down the mountain because it's bouncing around rocks and eddies and it's doing, it's like it's a fun way for the water to experience life. That water is alive because of the movement in the water, which I'll get to structuring. So just imagine mountain spring, it wasn't juvenile because it ascended out of the mountain. So then it comes up to the top of the mountain. Now it's like it pops up on Earth. And it's like, oh, where am I? Holy shit, we just popped up on top of a mountain. Yes. It's like, being born on a roller coaster. It's like, yeah, let's go ride down the mountain. So now the water's flying down the water and waterfalls and streams. And that water's like, wow, how lucky we were to ascend through the earth and pop out on a mountain. So now that water has an amazing enlivened structure that is so beneficial for the body. Moving on, rainwater. Rainwater may or may, who knows, whatever the water is, it was evaporated, right? That's how it got into the sky. So that means it's going to be back to juvenile water once it catches up in the sky because it's evaporated. It's almost like distilled. It has no minerals in it. And then even worse with rainwater, people say, let me go out in the rain and open my mouth and catch a raindrop on my tongue. That's actually a bad idea due to, as you intuitively know, Rob, if not you do know, that there's pollution in the air. So that pollution and waste is getting into those water molecules because a key point about water is that it is going to hold energy, any information that it comes in contact with. Going back to the mountain spring, that water is spiraling down in its natural way, hitting rocks, experiencing life, experiencing the rush in presence of not knowing where you're going, which is what we're all doing. That is versus I lost my train of thought. So the rainwater, it's not full. It's gained the influence of the pollution.
Well, let me ask you a question, Eddie. On the rainwater, let's say that you have a farm that's away from any sort of civilization, any sort of pollution, would you recommend people collect that rainwater, or do you think that's still because of the fact that it's been evaporated? We don't know where it's been evaporated from, and the clouds are moving. Do you think that that's a safer way to drink rainwater, or would you still recommend people stay away from that?
No, if you collect rainwater, what you want to do is you want to structure that rainwater by putting, spiraling movements, and we'll get into how to charge water in a second. But I mean, the plants need water. They'll do whatever we can. It's like people that are in a third world country. I mean, they'll eat Cheerios if that's all they have. The plants will eat Cheerios, but it's not going to put them in, it's not going to give them optimal vitality because the water's not alive.
Got it.
Going into boiled water. Boiled water is a good way to improve the quality of water. It kind of like boiling water is like a cleansing way to, it cleanses the water. It cleanses the bacteria. It cleanses any memory that's in the water. It's a good way to like start fresh. But keep in mind, once that water is boiled and you start fresh again, it's not alive. Right? It's in a fucking pot, pardon my French, and it's not running down a mountain. Let's use the water that's running down a mountain as the gold model. It's like that's the gold standard, right? That's what we're going to use that as the model for the best water, even though you can make it even better, which I'll get into. So boiled water, we're almost down to distilled water. There was a time like 5 years ago when I was taking in a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and I became aware of fluoride in water. And that was when I really started to think, okay, I need to do something with my water. And I drank distilled. First of all, distilled water has no molecular memory at all. Back to like rainwater. So it's evaporating and going up and becoming juvenile and has no charge. So distilled water, we're boiling water. The steam is being captured. There's no memory. We're cleaning it. It's literally blank. It's blank water. That's what distilled water is. It doesn't have any life. So we're just putting our attention onto the different types of water. And then the last type of water, morning dew, aka celestial dew, captures the vibrations of the new day, of the dawn. And there are tons of spiritual texts that say that celestial dew is not only good for the body, mind, and spirit, but even the Christian Bible says that the Holy Spirit is the equivalent of celestial dew. There is something super ethereal and subtle about morning dew that inspires me to get up real early in the summer and in the late spring and really take that in, or in the fall, and really experience that celestial dew, get that vibration into my body. So those are water types: juvenile, mature, mineral, spring, rainwater, surface water, boiled water, distilled, and morning dew. So to start on the road of, okay, where is my attention going? You want to start with understanding the different water types and how they become what they are. So that's that. Right. So now there's the science of water. So we're talking about attention, and attention is knowledge, right? So we need to know water. Those are the types. The next thing we wanted to know is really know our body, which is not going to be that long-winded of an explanation, especially to health-minded people that know we're 75% water. But Carly Newday in Water Code states, puts forth lots of evidence that says that maybe mass, when weighing our mass as a human, we're 75% water. But when you go into the molecular level of every single cell molecule of our body, every cell, every molecule is sitting in structured water. 99% of that molecule is in water. So she goes on at length in the book over and over and over again to lead us to know and feel into the fact that we're 99% water. We're more water than we can even imagine, right? So we are water beings. Everything that's going on in our body is trying to structure the water. When we're drinking low quality water, the body is just trying to run the water, spiral the water through our veins, get the water in touch with life. It's trying to structure the water, to get it into the cell. Like the cytoplasmic fluid is structured water. And structured water basically looks like if you cut an aloe plant open and you see that gel water, that's almost like highly, highly concentrated gel water with the energy and information of the aloe plant and the botanical, herbal benefits of that plant, right? So it's its own brand of structured water in the aloe plant, but that just goes into the structure of it. So water is everything. We're talking about attention. When we get 1% dehydrated, we go into psychological dysfunction. I've come across that fact. It's a scientific fact. When we get thirsty and we have a dry mouth, that is probably like 10, 15 to 20% dehydration. If you have a dry mouth, you're in trouble, right? So I notice when I start to get irritable or cranky or something like it starts to irritate me psychologically, I check in, I say, whoa, I'm probably just dehydrated, which is true.
And I think one thing I notice personally is anytime I feel any sort of, I'm not an anxious person, but if I start to feel anxious, if I start to feel stifled, it's usually because I need some water. It's usually because I'm dehydrated. I've been working for too long, or I've been sitting for too long. I haven't been drinking water, and I start to feel just like this, like that feeling like your skin is crawling. And then I go, I drink some water, and all of a sudden, about 10 minutes later, it's like, oh, that's all it was. So I'm glad that you brought that point up. So I think that's a very, very common issue that people run into is they have these feelings of anxiety, of just like you feel trapped in your body to some degree. And again, that's an exaggeration to some degree. Like it's very mild, but it's enough to make you realize something is off. And so when someone is feeling that, and obviously you're touching on the 10 to 15% of the dry mouth, one thing I always tell people, if your lips are dry, your mouth is dry, if you're thirsty, that means you're dehydrated. It doesn't mean you need some water. That means you needed some water. So what are some other things that you utilize in terms of staying hydrated? Because for me personally, I could drink 2 bottles as soon as I wake up. But as we've talked about before, it's not about just slugging the bottles. What's some of the intention that you use in order to stay hydrated?
Yeah, to move into the intention, which, Rob, I really love. Hold on, where are you? So you just said that sometimes you feel trapped in your body, which is a huge link I want to use to get into the intention of water and charging it. So one type of water that I didn't mention is the water that we're always drinking. When I say we, I mean the majority of us. Plastic water bottle water. That water, regardless of how the company fortified it, whatever they put in it, that water is not alive. It's in a plastic water bottle, and water is wild, alive, intelligent, and holding the information and energy that it has been come in contact with until it's been cured, clean, revitalized. So we become the water that we drink. So if we're drinking plastic, if you were alive, you were water, and you were the interface between the material and the spiritual world, and you knew you had the power to change, to evolve life on this planet, in any planet, as water, and you were in a BJ's, in a box, in a plastic water bottle, we're just assuming that we're just going to pretend that water is alive. If water is in a plastic bottle, do you think that water is happy to be there? And comparing to the gold standard of water that pops up, ascends out of the top of a mountain and comes down the rocks, imagine the 2 different lives that those 2 waters are living. So that water is holding energy and information, and you're bringing it into your body. I say that you bring the water, whatever kind of water you bring into your body, that's the consciousness you bring into your body. So you asked, what is the different intention that I use? So intention, just to jump right into my routine, right? So I go to a spring, I fill up my spring water. I try to keep it in glass or ceramic. Plastic definitely affects water. And when I say definitely, I mean that I'm not going to sit here and cite all kinds of scientific research. I'm just saying, if you don't want to believe me, go do your own research, check these books, check more books. But I put the spring water in glass containers, as you can see right here. This is just one of my rigs. It's a 5 glass gallon carboy. I got it from the spring. And then I even put this sticker on, which is the Masaru Emoto sticker. It says gratitude and love. And Masaru Emoto he's spent decades on water, researching the crystals, how, if you tell a water crystal, I hate you, or why did you do this to me? And you blame it, it freezes into a messy, incoherent crystal. If you tell water you love it and you say thank you, it becomes this beautiful hexagon type of crystal. And that picture on my water bottle is the Masaru Emoto crystal. I choose to believe that this water knows that it's being cared with attention to detail. The attentions to detail that. Go ahead.
I just want to cut you off right there, because I think people listening to this might say, "Oh, that's just some hippie shit. That's not true." Yep. That's like, yep. But if you look at scientific research, and as you said, the crystallization, the formation, these ice molecules, these water molecules make, it looks like the beautiful, ideal snowflake that we always envision, the perfect, unique design. And then if you put in these negative intentions, it is shown this form of chaos. It looks unorganized. It doesn't look attractive. It looks like, geez, like it looks unappealing. And I think that's where the difference in intention is, that this is just, to anyone listening, this is not just some woo-woo shit. This is hard science. There are plenty of studies, and as Eddie said, you don't have to believe us. Go do your own research. Look at the before and afters. Look at the different images of what is being shown when it has the intention of gratitude, of love, and the intention of negativity, of hate, of any sort of emotion that is destructive. You see the representation in those water molecules.
Yeah, Rob, if someone listening to this is triggered by woo-woo stuff that they don't understand, that's fear. That's somebody separating themselves from another person's perspective. I would just say to try to accumulate all the information you can. So moving into the attention, I'm working class Boston. I'm the last person. The odds on me having a conversation about intention and consciousness and enlightenment and the universe and God and source energy was like, I was a 10 million to 1 shot, right? So I'm here. So for example, I'm putting the spring water in the glass. I have a water charger outside, a biodynamic water charger. This is just a subject that I'm realizing that there's just so much to the subject. But when it comes to intention, you want to increase attention, then give love. If you put attention to detail into your water. So I'm a football coach, a high school football coach, Rob, as you know, and I say no one puts any attention to detail on anything anymore. That's a bold statement. I say the only people that are attentive to detail, Rob, are FBI agents and NFL football coaches. Everybody else is doing the bare minimum. But if you decide, or someone on this call decides to put some attention to detail into something, I say do it with your water. Get the highest quality water you can. Put it in glass. Put a sticker, write a piece of tape on it that says love and gratitude. Masaru Emoto even thinks H2O, 2 molecules of hydrogen, mean 2 gratitudes and 1 oxygen is love. His whole scientific philosophy is that love is oxygen and hydrogen is gratitude. He's talking about the creation of the universe. If we evolve and we're divine beings and we're in, some other realm of awareness, after we leave our physical meat suits here, our water suits, and we're going to realize that hydrogen is gratitude and oxygen is love. That's what those molecules are. So I'm doing my best to inspire others to put some attention to detail into your water and watch what happens. Just try it for a month. I got mountain spring water for a month and I was depressed. And 2 months later, I started feeling better and I was more productive. I was more positive. I was more loving. I had better quality relationships with my family and friends. So I'm just hoping to inspire people, Rob, to put attention to detail into the water. And a big part of this, and I just even evolved this practice the other day, is tell your water. I take a glass of water. When I wake up in the morning, I take 32 ounces of water. Right when I wake up, I put some salt in it because salt is a crystal and so is water. Water is a liquid crystal liquid crystalline substance. So I didn't really get into the structure of water, but when you get into learning about water, it's a crystal. It has a structure. So just because it's liquid doesn't mean it's structured. And that's what's happening when water is spiraling down a mountain. It's getting into its natural structure to carry love, gratitude, and positive vibration. So what I do is I have 32 ounces of water. I put some salt in it, or I put trace minerals in there to try to just reinvigorate the water with its natural molecular structure. Put some real crystals in that have a coherent influence on the water, so that way, this water, even though it's in a beautiful glass carboy, it would rather be spiraling down a mountain in a stream than sitting in front of an iPhone next to me, right? But the reason why this water stays happy and in love is because it knows that it's powering me and my family to do better things and inspire evolution on this planet. My point is, I drink water and I put the cup up, Rob, and I say, I love you. Thank you. And I send that sonic vibration into the water, whether I'm with people or not people. Am I afraid that someone's going to say, what are you, a weird woo-woo hippie wacko, gushy? What are you, soft? Maybe I am soft. I think most people that know me know that I'm the opposite of soft, where I'm really in my element. So that's how I balance out and soften up. And then just recently, Rob, I said, instead of saying I love you and thank you to the water, I say, I love us. Thank you for us, because that water is me. And if I can say I love you and thank you to a glass of water, and I can't say it to myself, who am I fooling?
Well, one thing I like there is that it touches back to the H2O that you're talking about, the love and gratitude, and that's hitting both of those points. And that's something I just put together, that's a great way to approach it, because if that's what water's structure is, and that's what water means in a sense, by reinforcing that before we put it into our body, that is, would you consider that that's a way to charge the water? I know you have your water charger, which I'd like to hear more about, but what is the purpose behind that? Obviously, it's getting that intention out there, but what is your purpose when you're saying that?
When I say I love you and thank you?
Correct.
I feel that love is everything. Anything not rooted in love is going to experience serious resistance in life. If you love yourself, love where you are, love the attention you're bringing to things, and have intention. I love my intention. I love that I'm drinking water. I'm trying to show water that I have love and I have gratitude in my body, and that it's joining into a vessel that is moving forward in time, in life, in this physical dimension, with love and gratitude. And the reason we have 1 and 2, for example, if I use one I love you right now, I say, Rob, I love you. You may say, thank you, Eddie. Maybe you might say, Eddie, I love you too. But that's one thank you, right? But upon hearing you say thank you, I feel gratitude as well. So I send out one love, and it creates 2 gratitudes, which is H2O. It creates gratitude in you, and then it creates gratitude in me for saying that. And then the power of vibration and sound. I mean, I don't want to go too deep. We're already pretty deep. Sanskrit, the Sanskrit language, which is a sonic language, which is the oldest language in the history of the world. Okay? It's the oldest. It's the only language to not be broken during World War II by all code breakers in the whole world. It is a sonic vibrational language that was possibly created by beings that were on a different level of consciousness than us, maybe, right? So when you speak something, when you say something, you're speaking it. Abracadabra means I speak and I create, right? The power of word, right? God said, and then God said, let there be light. Well, before there was light, there was God speaking. He was saying something, or she was saying something. There is word, or the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. Be impeccable with your word. Be free of sin, right? Be love. be gratitude. If you're love and your gratitude, you are flowing naturally, wildly in this existence. That's what it is, right? You want to be loved. You want to be grateful. So when I speak that, I'm practicing speaking things that I want to create. I want to create love and gratitude. Going back to the first thing I said, if I'm creating my dream, I'm going to love that dream, and I'm going to be grateful for myself and that dream, which is water again, H2O.
Beautiful. I love how it comes full circle too, and I think that that's the greatest part about this is that we can everything with water comes full circle because it is a part of everything. So when we are starting off the intention of bringing that water into our body with love and gratitude, we become more loving. We feel more gratitude. We are able to then give more love. We are able to then give more gratitude. And so that's what I think that I really like about that approach is that you're setting the intention to have this become part of you. Not just the water, but the love and the gratitude. And I think that's a powerful piece that when you put the two together, if the world is run by love and we are made of water and gratitude gets the momentum going, that's a pretty damn good formula for success right there. And so
I think it's worth a try.
I agree.
I think it's worth a try. And then even intention. What is intention? Where intention goes, energy flows. You know, Paul Chek has brought up, I've had conversations with him about intention in person, right? Intention is where you're linking your thought, what you're saying, what you're writing, what you're creating, what your purpose is, right? Anything that you're creating as a unique creator, there's a tension. Imagine a rope between me and all source, creative energy, everything, right? Everything and nothing, right? Consciousness, right? The creator, source, whatever it is, right? We're creating a tension between us and it. So whatever we're thinking about, talking about, saying, writing, doing, Great Spirit, Great Source is creating. It's giving to us. It's like us tugging on the rope with intention. Hey, this is what I want. So I say, hey, love and gratitude. I want purpose and a dream. This is what I want. And you're tugging on that rope that's connected to source energy, and it's delivering. It's giving you single point focus, which is attention. So when you put your attention on this water bottle, I'm putting my single point focus, like an FBI agent or an NFL football coach, the only people in Eddie's point of view that are attentive to detail. I'm attentive, and I'm about love. I'm about gratitude. I want to live my dream. I want to increase love and gratitude on this planet. I want to make sure that my grandchildren's grandchildren appreciate the work that I've done with love, with honor, with gratitude. It's just like, this is where I am. I'm just speaking these words. I'm getting chills throughout my whole body. There's obviously a power there. There's obviously a power. I'm charging myself. So if you don't have a stone biodynamic water charger, right, that's using the energy of the moon and the sun to create electromagnetic coherency between rocks to influence the water, right? Because there's different ways to influence water. EMF is a negative influence to water, right? Running down a mountain wild because you just ascended through the earth and so popped out, now you're a waterfall.
Just to interject here for a second. So for anyone who doesn't know what EMFs are, those are electromagnetic frequencies. So I just wanted to clarify that. So go ahead.
Yep. Electricity, a microwave, right? When you put food in a microwave, you're heating up the water molecules in the food, right? And if someone says, well, steak isn't water. If you have 7 grams of steak, it's not 7 grams of protein. It's 70% water, and it's going to cook, and it's going to get, that's what beef jerky is. Beef jerky is like water, dehydrated meat, right? So anyway, the influence of water is so easily influenceable. If you put it in a plastic bottle and leave it in a warehouse, it's just bulk dead water. The water is alive. That's the key. The water is intelligent. It is intelligent. The biggest supercomputer in the world is, wherever it is in Langley, it's got a water hard drive. It's got a water processor. How the hell, what's up with that, right? So even if you don't have a stone biodynamic dynamic water charger, which I could do. I'm going to do a workshop on that and teach people how to do that. But water, remember I said water is a liquid crystal. Well, a liquid crystal that's out of coherence and doesn't know what it is, and then you put it around coherent rocks, because rocks are coherent. There's a coherency influence on the water. It's like, oh, look, we're surrounded by things that are in coherence. It's like if you take someone who's a schizophrenic or on the borderline of, mental disorder, and they're a little confused, and you put them in a room with the Dalai Lama and Ram Dass and loving individuals, they're going to say that person's going to start to feel. That's the same thing when you take bulk water that's not in coherence. It doesn't know what it is. It's dead. It's blank. It's polluted, whatever. You put it in contact with coherence, right? Coherence, and it will become coherence. It will start to structure itself in a natural way. One other example of coherence is carbon, right? So coal and a diamond. If I had a coal in one hand and diamond in the other hand, they're both carbon. What's the difference? The structure. A lump of coal is an unstructured heap of the element. But when you put that element in divine coherent structure, what does it become? A diamond, right? Now, the human eye can't tell the difference because it's liquid. Oh, it's liquid. What is it? It's all the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. And there's tons of scientific evidence out there and stories, even healing water. The Ganges River in India is the most sacred, powerful, healing body of water on the planet. Lords, there's people in France that are lining up for days to bring their sick loved ones in and put them in this healing water. What is that? It's the spirit. It's the consciousness on the water. It's almost like the water knows it's creating love and gratitude on the planet by healing people. So the water is charging with love as people go in there to get healed. My point is, amongst many points, there's many points. My point is that even if you just put your attention on your water and do everything you can, whether it's a little bit of glass or, spring water, or just put a little salt in plastic water bottle, just do whatever you can with your attention, right? To increase the quality of the water. Don't do stupid stuff like drink tap water that's so contaminated it almost creates anger in me. Keyword almost, right? But put the basic amount of attention you can into it. But then, the most powerful thing we can do is influence it with the power of our intention and our voice by speaking to your water and just say, I love you, or I love us, I love me. If you tell yourself you love yourself in the mirror, which a lot of our friends, Rob, have been doing on Instagram, right? And a lot of people say, look at these wackos. Well, what's the difference between telling yourself in the mirror you love yourself and telling a glass of water you love yourself? Where I am a glass of water. I'm not a glass. Actually, if you think about it, we could dive down deep because I'm bone, and bone is crystal. So glass is crystal. I'm water, man. You're water. We're two little water beings, And by telling water you love it, you're going to influence it. And if you think that's woo-woo and you're not interested in looking into the evidence like Masaru Emoto and Carly New Day water codes, then that's fine. Ignorance can be bliss for you if you think that's working. I just know that this works better for me. And in closing, before we move on, or if you want to ask any other questions, Rob, imagine us 100 years from now or 200 years from now, and we realize that water is the interface between the spiritual and the material substances in existence, right? Water, all of a sudden we realize that water is the key. Water can heal. Water grows plants. Water grows humans. Water is everything. What would we be doing as a practice in this future, this hypothetical environment, to put more attention to water? What would we be doing? Yeah, probably telling it I love it because it's fucking alive.
It's very important. And I was actually just watching, right before we got on this, a Netflix thing called The Water Crisis Explained, which I knew that we were doing this podcast. I was like, that's a good little 18-minute clip that I can tap into here. And so I believe it was in 2016 or 17, Cape Town in Africa they got to a point where they were 21 days away from day zero. and day zero meaning they were going to run out of water. And everyone was panic stricken. Everyone was like, holy shit, we forgot how valuable water was. Within 2 weeks, they cut their consumption of water in half. And I can definitely say they're much more likely to be expressing loving gratitude for that water, recognizing how valuable it was. And their day zero went from, let's say it started in April, then it got pushed back to May, then it got pushed back to June, then eventually got pushed back to August, and eventually that day zero was put on permanent hold because they had done such a good job of bringing that intention and that loving gratitude to the water, that they were wasting less, they were using it more. You could see the people enjoying it more because they recognize, wow, I'm so grateful to have this water. So I would love to see just if there were any studies done on the fact of how that has affected the people's health as a whole, because they're taking in water on a more loving basis. And so I just want to wrap up here on a final question for you. If someone is going to start today, like after this conversation, I'm going to the spring, I'm out of spring water, I'm going to go fill up. What's the easiest step? Do they just switch to glasses? Do they switch to glass bottles? Do they go from a tap water to a Brita filter? Like, what's the simplest step forward? Let's just say the average person who's just drinking water straight out of the tap or out of plastic bottles. What is the most simple step that someone can take moving forward that doesn't require a whole deal of effort or a lot of financial input?
Buy whatever water you can. If you can't afford a Berkey filter, if you cannot afford a Berkey filter, which is about $300, right? Below that, like my family, that a part of my family can't afford that, right? So I get them plastic water bottle water. Put salt in it, right? Put a pinch of salt in the water. Put it in a glass mug. Swirl the water around in the glass mug with the salt in it, and just silently in the corner of your kitchen say, I love you. Nothing is as powerful of a water charger as a loving, grateful human being. Nothing can stop a loving, grateful human being. We are the peak point of evolution on this planet that we're aware of, right? There may be other beings on this planet that we haven't come in contact with, i.e. the invisible man, Bigfoot, underground reptilian races, who knows? You know what I mean? But what I know of is I'm the most evolved human being that I see every day, because I see me in the mirror. So I'm using the power that I have. How can I have the most power? Love, gratitude, presence, silence, patience, attention to detail, intention. I become this unbelievable charged human being, and I'm telling you, that's how I feel, right? And I feel like I can charge my water, and the water will become alive. They'll say it'll be asleep, dumb, blank, and maybe polluted. And then the words coming out of my voice, we're the only animal on this planet that I know of that can speak. And you speak the word love, speak the word thank you. I'm so grateful for you. You all of a sudden take your power to another level and you charge the water. You are water. We are water. That's a basic practice, I think, that costs little to no money. Redmond real salt, Celtic sea salt, $10-20, a glass mug, done. Try that. 30-day challenge. Tell me how things are working.
Beautiful. Love it, brother. Thank you as always for sharing your wisdom. I know I learned a lot. I know everyone else listening to this learned a lot. You have a lot of knowledge that you're sharing with people. You have a lot of incredible knowledge that is becoming to the surface as you've been becoming more active on social media. Where is the best place for people to follow you, to stay in touch with all the cool stuff you're doing?
Text me. My cell phone number is 617-212-0895. I during the day than I do on social media. Quite frankly, social media is a little tough for me. If I post a 60-second video, it probably took me about 6 hours to get it up. It's just tough for me. So if you really want to talk shop, text me, 617-212-0895. call me, voice memo, Instagram, chef_coach, 2 underscores, Madden, Madden. My email, edward.madden4@gmail.com. I'm trying to evolve my technological existence and get on all the platforms and, speak. Because if there's anyone that appreciates my message, that makes me appreciate my message and my research and my practice even more. So it's just empowering me. So if you think that maybe I'm onto something, that means that you're onto something. Let me know. Tell me you love me. Tell me you're grateful. Let's create more love and gratitude that way. And let's just keep it simple, right? The KISS method, Rob. Let's just keep it simple and be silly. We're just a couple geeks on Zoom during the coronavirus talking about water. It's fucking silly. Who gives a fuck? Let's keep it silly. Let's keep it simple, silly.
I love it, brother. Well, thank you so much for being here. Everyone check out Eddie on Instagram or send him that message over text. Eddie, appreciate you being here, my friend.
Love you, Rob.
Love you too, brother. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Peace. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Whole Health Rob Carney podcast with our guest, Eddie Madden. So Eddie shared a lot of valuable knowledge about water on this podcast, and he was nice enough to compile a lot of the books and resources that he uses for all things water, and you can find those in the description box below. So be sure to check those out. Check out a lot of the books that Eddie has been using to really learn about optimizing his water. As we found out, water is essential to human life, and it's a very important piece that tends to be overlooked. And as Eddie mentioned briefly about electromagnetic frequencies. Now, electromagnetic frequencies have been shown to cause a lot of issues in the human body as well as water. So down to a cellular DNA level, these EMFs can cause havoc in our bodies. So I've partnered with a group called Aries Tech, and they use EMF transformers to transform the EMF signals into something that our body can metabolize a lot easier. So basically what it is, you can get the shield, the Aries Pro Shield, you can stick it on the back of your phone, or you can get the Defender or the Protector, which basically goes in your wallet, keep it in your pocket. Anytime that you're using technology, it's great to have it on there to help reduce some of the harmful effects of EMFs. So you can go to ariestech.com and use the code wholehealth, and you will save 10% off your order. And I'll also put that in the description box below. Be sure to check out Eddie on all his social media platforms, on Instagram, and you can find us together on Ice and Iron in our men's group. And please be sure to subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to the channel, tune into the Whole Health Connections Instagram account to see all the latest. Thank you again for listening, and have a great day.